And when my father died, he wrote a letter while he was on a plane flying from Florida to Philadelphia to come to the funeral. And he had the copies made. And in that copy, I can barely remember how it went. But without you coming to this country and starting the Magro family or association here, he says, I wouldn't be here today. And because of you, I owe you all this thanks. The letter was nice. I'm sure I got it home if I could find it. And it was one that never held on to pictures or valuable letters and all, but if I look around, I might be able to find it. If I do, I'll let you see it.
I'd like to be able to make copies of it, include it in what the
yeah, if I could
copies
find it.
Send around.
But anyway, he was saying to me when I was up at the wedding there in Connecticut 4 years ago, he says, he's such an aggressive guy that he got up there to where he is so fast, because he was supposed to become a doctor. He wanted to be a surgeon. So he said to his father, which is my brother, he says, I like to go to work 1 year so the tuition won't be so hard to meet. So, so he says he would like to go to work just for 1 year. But here...
No, wait till Sean's done.
1 year goes by, he's making tremendous money. The second year goes by, he's doubling. Each year goes by, he's doubling. So it was about it was the time of the funeral. That was like, it was in 1965, it was like 7, 8 years later. Of course, it was in the 50s when he graduated college. And I says, Anthony, I says, you still intend to be a surgeon? He says, Uncle Charlie, he says, to earn what I'm earning now, I'd have to be a surgeon 10 years. No, he says, I forgot all that. He says, I'm floating with a lot of money. He says, I'm doing good. So, and he's always in demand. And he was rated one of the best of the company. He was even a vice president. I don't know if he was senior vice president or undergraduate, I don't know how to work, but he was vice president of the firm. In fact, he's such an aggressive guy. When he was in Italy, he saw the same machine that he was pushing. He's pushing in Japan and Australia and all them countries. And he was sent to Italy to push it in Italy. He says, we got competition here. That machine is better than ours. So what's he do? He brings that company to this country and produces it here. And I think that's when he became vice president of that company. And I think the name of it was Sunoco, not the oil company. It was the name of this company that pushes that. It's the machine that makes color newspaper, color magazines, all the colors in it.
Oh, the printer type.
Yeah, the newspaper people and the magazine people rent these machines. They don't own them. They run them from these people. So
let me ask you a question, because we may be running out of tape. On behalf of your father, your mother, your brothers and sisters, give the rest of the family a valuable message, or a funny, whatever you want to say.
Anecdote, whatever.
I mean, you have to speak for everybody because nobody else is here.
Well, I really don't know how to put it, because, I mean, we had ups and downs. We had good times and all. And all I could say, well, my father was a good man. He couldn't do enough for us. I remember the first time he took us down to the New Year's Day parade. And I swore after that I didn't want to go anymore, because I thought I had no feet. It got so cold. See? And he knew we were suffering. So we're standing in front of an automobile agency. So he goes in there and asks the guy if we could look at the parade from upstairs. The guy says, it'll cost you X amount of money for each child. I don't care, he says. He was never afraid to take money out. So we all walked in. I remember my brother Nick was there too. So we went up then it was nice, but I couldn't get my feet warm because there was no heat up there, but it wasn't cold like outside. Things like that. He was great. He was good. When he wanted to do something, he was good, but he would get annoyed when we were, I don't know how to put it, I wouldn't say unfaithful, when we wouldn't produce the way he wanted, like good educated children. And we were
strict.
hard always workers. We were all hard workers. We worked, every one of us. Only Louis, he was the guy. He was the guy could always get a job, but the limit was like 2 weeks. He wouldn't work no more. But not only that, to get him out of the house in the morning was like trying to wake the dead out. So, other than that,
So how did you wind up a career man and
that's why he went in the service, because he didn't want to work. So as soon as
that
he
don't
joined,
make sense.
as soon as he joined the army the first time, my mother says, "You know, when you're in the service, you got to get up 5, 6 o'clock. You got to be up. Don't worry about it, Mom. Don't worry about it." After he's in there a while, nobody's bothering him. I found out that he was sleeping as late as 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Then when he became first sergeant, nobody bothered him. He was his own. He had his own room, everything. He slept till 12 o'clock. So you say, why did he put all them years in? He had all the advantages. So, but
When
getting back...
when you look back on your family and the whole idea about family, tell everybody why that's important to you.
Well, we were a big family, and when we're all together, that's the moments I enjoy, when we're all together. I mean, that's even before they got married, like my brother Nick, Louis, Sammy. When we were all together, you know, and I used to get the biggest thrill out of watching my mother cooking, putting everything out, especially like Easter time. She used to make this certain kind of sweet dough bread and put eggs in them, 1 egg or 2 eggs and things like that, and put a lot of jimmies around it. And we always looked for things like that, the holidays like that. Everything was on schedule. And she did everything the way it was. Then every week or every other week, my father would get out of town, and he always liked to go on his own. And he'd come back, and I'd wait in the front of the house and watch him coming up Vine Street. He'd be loaded with packages. So in them packages would either be a sweater for us, or a shirt, or shoes. We never had to go to try shoes on. He bought them because he knew our size was the perfect size. And we never had problems. Shoes were always very good. But the best thing I remember was a color man. That was the only black man in the neighborhood at the time. He was a shoe repairman. And everybody took the shoes to him, and his name was Charlton. Very nice man. So it used to cost like $1, between $1 and $1.50 to have half soles and heels put on. So every week would be like 2 pairs, 3 pairs of shoes, 4 pairs of shoes. So he used to fix them, do a good job. And I was always the one that used to go up there, pick up the shoes, bring them home. And Sunday morning, he would come down for his money. So say the bill was like $5, $6. So my father would say, I'm going to give you $4. So Charlton, he expected this. He knew this was coming. He says, look, Tony, he says, I know you want to cut me down. He says, how about 5? You know, try to go in between. My father said, oh, I'm going to give you 4. In the meantime, he's pouring a glass of wine to Charlton. By this time, Charlton, his mind isn't there anymore. So he would say, all right, give me 4 and a gallon of wine. So he'd give me $4 and a gallon of wine. So it was like 4 or 5 pairs of shoes fixed. But then you couldn't say, well, the next time I'm going to jack the price up, because the old man knew what the prices were. So he looked for that gallon of wine. And then he would come down during the week when the wine would finish before time, and the old man would give him another bottle or something. But then, when he fixed the shoes, after all, he couldn't say, well, fix the shoes for wine. I wouldn't pay for his business. So after all, he had to buy that leather. But one thing about my father, if he said he was going to give you X amount of dollars, and you agreed, you got it.
Well, let me ask you on the reverse side of that, because Grandpop also sold stuff. He didn't always buy stuff. He also was in business, right? Could people bargain him down when he was on the selling end?
You know, that's a good question. I'm looking back.
That fascinates me, because I always heard about his ability to bargain.
All I know
somebody else.
is it was predominantly an Irish neighborhood, and it was Prohibition time. So it was an Irish policeman used to come to the house, and my father always had some kind of homemade whiskey. And this policeman would come off duty. He'd sit there and have a couple shots of whiskey. He never liked wine. He'd have a couple shots of whiskey. A sandwich. My mother would tell him a sandwich, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this cop must have told the other people in the neighborhood. He only lived around the corner. He didn't far. So another guy would come up and says, look, I'm going to have a party. I'm going to have about 20 people. Could you make me some whiskey? And the old man was good for making whiskey. And I said, why'd you make it? They used to say bathtub whiskey. He never made it in a bathtub. He had special pans. You go down and buy the alcohol and make the whiskey, put the different flavors in it and all that. I'm trying to think how much he used to get. Now, if he would deliver it, then there was a chance he would get caught, because it was a bootlegger. So, I was only a kid, about 9, 10 years old, and he put it on a wagon in boxes, deliver this to Mr. So-and-so. So I'd deliver it, and I wouldn't pick up no money or anything. I'd deliver it. I remember a couple times I did it, but the other times, I don't know if it was Sammy or my brother Jerry did, I don't know. But they say a kid going down the street with a wagon, nobody would bother you. See, grown up pulling a wagon, they know something's on there that don't belong in there. And I remember that went on pretty good there for a good while. Because that was the only way people could buy booze, was bootleg booze. But then Roosevelt got in office, and that was the end of bootleg.
Well, do you remember Grandpa ever having trouble with the Black Hand or the Mafia trying to sell protection to him?
We never had that problem.
I don't know where the heck we heard years ago.
We never had that
Did
problem.
anybody in the neighborhood ever have that trouble? Because we
Yes.
actually heard that, is it that Grandpa got hit in the head with a stick or a bat?
A bottle or something?
He got in a fight. I don't remember this. I must have been about 5 years old when this happened. He got in a fight with a guy, and the guy hit him with a milk bottle, and they said split his head or something. He was bleeding a lot. My brother Nick was about 13 years old, I guess, and he knew my father had a rifle upstairs with these buckshots in it, you know. But to this day, Nick told me he wasn't going to use it. He just did it to scare the guy. He went up and got the rifle, and he come down, and the guy run in the house, and what I heard. But there was one of the first black policemen was on duty in that neighborhood, and his name was Dorsey. And he run up and grabbed my brother Nick and run him back in the house.
Telephone.
He says, don't get that ID. He says, well, that's the worst thing you can do. In the meantime, you know, my father was taken care of. Just that he wanted to, Nick tells me he just did it to scare the guy. Now, I was too young to know what was wrong. Now, that's the only incident that I know of.
Did anybody in the neighborhood ever have their house shot up? Like in a drive-by machine gun kind of deal?
Not with machine gun, but this here bakery. And he was a half a block away. Now, I don't know if he didn't want to join the organization so they could stabilize the price. He refuses to join the organization.
When you say organization, what do you mean?
Well, the I don't know if it's called the Bakers Association. They wanted to set a price, and everybody charged that price. Well, this guy Cariola, the oldest, if it was up to the father, he would agreed to the organization. But the oldest son,
Stop eating that like that.
he was like a private detective, plus being in the bakery business with his father. So he said to his father, "They don't have to put up with them guys." He says, "They're nothing but a bunch of sneaks." Because I used to go with Mikey, his younger brother, who was my age, and he used to tell me these stories. And he says, "No, we're not going to agree to that." And that was the time they put a bomb. And all the bomb did was make it like a 12-inch hole in the concrete, pushed some of the bricks in of the house, but broke everybody's windows. Concussion.
Now, was that
Didn't break
Black
our windows.
Hand?
We were too far out.
Were they connected with the Black Hand or Mafia?
Nobody knew for sure. No one knew for sure. It could be, it couldn't. But there was I found this out later on. I never knew at that time. I found out later on when, I must have been 20 years old, that there was a mob called Mattress. In Italian you say Materats. That's mattress in English. And they would take care of anybody for a price. But now here's some of the stories. This guy that was telling me the story, they'd say, "Well, it'll cost you $50 for us to take care of that guy." What they meant by taking care of him, go and give him a good beating, or no killing or anything. So what would they do? They'd get the $50, then they'd go get this guy. And they would say, "We're the Materats, the mattress people. And you're doing this and this, you're fooling around with this guy's wife, and now we're here to beat your brains in, break your legs, whatever. But for a price, we'll let you go. We'll just give you a warning." So they took up another $50 or $25, whatever they could. They really weren't out to hurt anybody.
But it was enough probably to
Just a
scare
con.
him off.
Just a con.
And
No,
it scared him off, and the guy would think twice before he did anything like that again. But this was told to me by a barber on 64th Street. When I got older, and wherever I was, I would get a haircut. The reason why I used to go to this barber shop because my brother used to go there. And the barber used to tell me these different stories. And that's... Now, if they were true or not, I don't know. But I asked my father if there was such an outfit called the Materats. He says, yes, there was. But he was never involved. Right?
No, I know he wasn't involved.
No, I don't mean that, but he was never under any
Never
condition
crossed your
to
path or
be
anything.
warned about anything or that.
Any questions?
No, what were you just talking about, Materazzi?
Yeah.
It means mattress.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
used to call a guy named Edward Joe Materazzi.
Yeah.
But they
What's that, an organization?
It was an organization, but it wasn't like, the mafia or killing outfit. It was just an outfit that came around, give you warnings.
They were a sleeper.
No, there were no sleepers.
That's a joke.
They scare the hell out of you. But this is way before I got to know anything. In fact, like I said, I must have been in my 20s. In fact, I was married. In fact, it was after World War II that I heard it. Before that, I never heard it.
Well, my father told me about
Well, he
guys,
would know, yeah.
guys during the Depression down around Center City, just into South Philly, that would, there were even guys there would shoot somebody for the right price, and it wasn't a whole lot of money.
In South Philly, yeah.
I got one.
And they hang right on the corners. So.
I got one question. I don't know where I heard it, but is it true that they chased Grandpa out of Italy because he stole Grandmama away from him?
No,
Who'll tell you that?
He said that if there's anything bad between Grandmom's family and Grandpa, if they were upset about anything, it was that he took her out of Italy.
That's what I'm talking
They didn't want her to leave. They didn't want him to leave.
There was no future there for my father.
He got along
No,
good.
that's
He didn't want to work, just say, well, I'm working and I get a
Or
house.
was it
He
her
wanted
family?
money.
Was,
He wanted,
was it her family was angry that he took her? away from Italy?
To be honest with you, I really don't know. And if my sister's not tell you any stories.
Oh, I don't even
of,
know where I heard it. I
But
heard it through the grapevine.
from what my father told me, he says that I couldn't see working to get a loaf of bread and to get the rent. He says, no, he says, I wanted money. I want to do my own investment. And
But
there was no future in that in Italy.
But he got along well. He, in fact, was working for
No,
her
my
family.
father was always a
That's
hard
how they
worker.
met.
Anybody he worked for, he was, because when I worked for this here contractor, Jimmy Frank, he used to tell me now that, see, my father worked for him. He was like a certified concrete mixer. When they built these schools and big buildings where the state says you gotta have a certified concrete mixer, well, Jimmy Frank appointed my father a concrete mixer because he was dedicated to his work.
Right.
He believed in doing it right. And every mix came out the way the state wanted it. And Jimmy Frank paid him a little extra money to be that type of man. And when I went to work with Jimmy Frank, I only worked for him a couple of months. And the older guys there, they says, Jimmy Frank thinks the world of your father because he's always a hard worker and all that. He says wherever he went to work with Jimmy, he was a well-pleasing worker. And this one old guy says that's the way he was in Italy. Now these are the stories I get from people that came from it. I don't know where my sisters and brothers get their stories.
Oh, I don't even know where I heard it, but it's a transition. Somebody tells a story, somebody else tells a story, somebody else tells a story, and you don't know what the story is.
Well, like the time I was telling you over in Jersey, and this when he met this friend of his over there, and he didn't even know that his friend was here. And the friend would say to my father, "You remember in Italy we used to do this and that?" And the old man went like this. So when I'm driving him home, I said, "Why'd you go like that?" He said. But then as I got talking with this guy, every time we go over there, he would tell me, he says, "Your father was a hard worker. He never cut corners. He was well liked. But he was a man."
That's probably why my dad was like he was, because that thing was right on down the line.
Yeah.
He has to, you're going to do it the right
That's
way.
right.
And when he was cutting grass, when he was living over in Horsham, he would cut the grass this way, he'd cut it this way, he'd cut it this way, he'd cut it this way. You ever picked a blade of grass up? He'd cut it so fine.
I used to do that too, but I never had a lawn. It took me 30 years to get a lawn.
Yeah, what was her name?
And all I had to do was put a catcher on the
Tammy?
lawn.
Yeah. No, it's Tammy that
Tammy.
used to cut the grass a lot.
Well, I did for real.
Well,
Did the
I
same
don't
way
know.
there.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Now Jerry, no, I don't know about him.
His name, you've heard him called Shady.
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 Okay.
He
Now
died young.
Maisie built a world to him. Every time you ever asked her, well, what was Shady like? Oh, he was the nicest guy.
He was
Real
good-looking.
quiet.
What did he
was
die
good
from?
looking.
It must have started with a rheumatic heart because he had a leaky valve. In them days, they couldn't do anything for that.
He didn't have any children.
No,
No, he was never married. He died. He would have been 21 in March. He died right after New Year's Day. He's still in his 20s.
I asked a lot of good questions.
Yeah, Maisie
Oh,
thought
I'm sure you got a lot of good answers.
I did.
he was wonderful. She really liked him a lot.
Who was the
I
best
think she might have
dancer?
had a crush on
Yeah.
him.
Who was the best dancer?
Louis.
Louis?
Louis, that I know.
Yeah?
Louis?
Yeah, Louis.
Who had the best voice?
Singing?
Anybody a singer?
Why did you ask?
I don't. I'm
Were you a
looking for
singer?
information
Why
about
did
my
you-
family.
I'll tell you what I did. Wait till you hear this.
Get this, folks.
I can't carry the tune now.
He's embarrassed now.
My father used to buy records like any teenager would. Nah, he wasn't a teenager. And when he used to buy these records, I guess he was in his late 40s, early 50s. But every week he'd go downtown and buy a record. And we had this Victrola. We didn't have no electric thing to play. You put the record on and you wind it up. And I'm, 7, 8 years old, or even younger. And I'm following the music, following the song. And I developed to sing these songs, mostly Italian. And I used to sing them good. Now in the neighborhood, the old Italian guys, when they weren't working, they rented this store, and in this store, we used to call it the smoke shop. and they would play cards. That's how they killed time. I mean, they didn't have money to go anywhere, so they'd be together, be 10, 15, 20 of them in there. And the guy that was renting the store, he would sell like ice cream, cigars, certain parts, certain types of Italian candies and things like that. And us kids, you know, we wanted enough money to go to movies. All we needed to go to movies was a nickel, and a nickel to put in a machine to get a bar of candy or popcorn. And you sit in the movies for 5, 6 hours a dozen days, you know.
Yeah, double features plus.
So we had to figure out where we're going to get money, what to do. So everybody did different things. Who could flip, and who could. I don't recall exact things. So I'm standing there and I'm watching. So this one guy says, "Now what do you do?" I don't do anything. Finally, they pumped it out of me, and I start singing. And I would sing these different Italian songs. Now, like I said, I'm about 7 years old, 8 years old, and they're throwing pennies, nickels, dimes, you know. So sure enough, there was enough. As soon as we pick it up, we count it, and off we go to the movies. We didn't want to do no more, you know. Fast come, fast go, you know.
Well, give us an example of your song.
Well, that's it.
Go ahead, sing one.
I can't. I can't carry a tune anymore. That's the truth. In fact, the way you're asking me to sing now, I think I was in the
About
fourth.
From the Vine Came the Grape. Sing that.
No, in the 4th grade, I think it was. This year, it was a Jewish teacher, and I still remember her name, Mrs. Novich. And she was organizing a play. So everybody's going up, trying out for this, trying out, and she would say, "Well, can't use you, can't use you." And I'm sitting there, I'm not making any effort to get up. So finally she persuaded me to go up. I only went up because she was a good person. You know, what could you do? So I started singing. Right away she puts me in the play. So I says, if you're going to put me in a play, put me in a play where I don't have to go out where people don't see me. Just don't worry about that. So I was in a couple of plays in the school. Then when I got in a higher grade, they wanted me. Then I didn't want to sing. Because the songs weren't what the young people wanted.
So you mean you could sing then, but you can't sing now?
No. Well, I knew the songs.
Well, at least you had a time in your life when you could sing.
Yeah, just that time.
When I was 10 and we were in West Philadelphia, I went around the corner to a music store where they gave lessons. And my friend thought he was the next Elvis Presley. He could sing. He was with me. And the guy gave me a voice test, put earphones on me, and I think they were playing Papa Loves Mambo, cha-cha.
Well, see,
And I'm supposed to sing along. Well, I sang about, 4 bars of this song. Guy turned off the music. He said, "Hey kid, you ever consider taking up a musical instrument?" I never heard the end. My friend never let me forget that.
What was your favorite song of it, John?
they were all Italian songs. My favorites were the marching songs, like Boat Susan and all them. I used to like to follow them up.
How'd they go?
Well, I used to whistle them mostly or hum them. I really didn't know the words to that.
Well, whistle one.